Welcome to the Medicine Revived podcast. Have you noticed that the world of medicine is rapidly changing? Doctors, are you working more with less? Are you burning out? I'm here to tell you that it doesn't have to be so. Welcome to the Medicine Revived podcast, where I'm your host, Dr. Harry Caritas, an emergency physician who is here to teach you the skills needed to learn, grow, and thrive in medicine. I want you to take back control of your professional and your personal life. Are you interested in learning the strategies experts use to lead and live a high-performance life? I'm here to help. I'm here to help you, the working doctor, achieve the life that you want. Not to beat burnout, rather achieve wellness. Let's start the show. Well, hey there, Dr. Harry Caritas again from the Medicine Revived podcast, and welcome back to what I hope will be another great episode. So thank you so much if you're a returning listener. But if you're a new listener, welcome. Welcome to the Medicine Revived podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Harry Caritas, where I talk to you guys every single week about how to live the life that you wanted. If you're a physician or a nurse who's been struggling with perhaps symptoms of burnout, I'm here to help, friends. I'm here to help you learn, grow, and thrive in medicine. We do that each and every week by giving you resources and tips and habits that will help you reach the life that you've only dreamt of. So take a listen. Hope you enjoy this show. And if you do, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and we'll get you those episodes every time I drop one, which is about twice a week. I do usually a longer form one on Tuesday and then a quicker one on Thursday. So again, take a listen. If you enjoy it, please hit that subscribe button. And also, very importantly, if you do enjoy it, share it with a friend or a colleague, because friends, that's how we are going to spread this message. Because as you see, you'll hear me every single week talk about the importance of community, in medicine. And this is one way I'm trying to spread the word on making sure we live a long and fruitful life in this wonderful career that we've chosen, which is that of medicine. So let's get on to today's episode, which is something that I have been guilty of for sure. I think we've all been there, but I have surely a guilty one. And let me just paint you the picture. You've just completed a medical residency or nursing school, and you just let out a big exhale. And why not? You've undoubtedly worked hard to get to this chapter of your life. And for all those late night studying and sacrifices you've made during the last several years, you've reached a level of success that you may have only dreamt of. And for many, though, this success brings in this fervor, and that's probably the best word I can think of, this fervor of want and of excess. And if not recognized, the Diderot Effect can become a permanent thorn in your side for years. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, friends, something called the Diderot Effect. And I will tell you all about it and some of the mistakes I've done being victim to the Diderot Effect and how we can move forward, because that's what I talk about every single week, friends. I not only help address an issue, but also give you very tactical resources to help you achieve your wants in medicine and in your personal life as well. So let's get started on the Diderot Effect. All I can tell you guys, it all started with a scarlet dressing gown. So what is a dressing gown? Well, let's get into it. So Denis Diderot, he's a famous French philosopher who lived most of his life in poverty during the mid to late 18th century France. And he was actually very well known during that time. He was known mostly for writing the most comprehensive encyclopedia of the time. But he was a poor man by many accounts. So as the story goes, Diderot was about to marry his daughter, but he could not afford her dowry. Now, being well known in the world and being well known amongst intellectuals, Catherine the Great heard about his financial woes and his financial struggles. So Catherine the Great bought his entire library collection for 1,000 pounds at that time, 1,000 pounds, which in today's dollar, if you compound inflation, it would be around 230,000 US dollars. And this is in 2020. I'm recording this in 2020. So $230,000 for his entire library collection. But what's even more is he got this huge sum of money. But Catherine the Great went further, and actually she had hired him to be his librarian, to be the librarian for this collection, which was in his home. And actually she paid him about 25 years worth of annual salary. So he received a large sum of money. So not only could he afford his daughter's dowry, but he had money to live a luxurious life. And his first purchase was that of a scarlet dressing robe, and that's when it took a turn from the worst. So what's a dressing robe? Well, a dressing robe during that time, men were, the culture at that time was to wear these stuffy and stiff suits, as you make your way outside of the house. So a dressing robe is more like loungewear, what we would consider loungewear during our time, but it's basically like the equivalent to what many of us consider a smoking jacket or a very luxurious robe that you use to lounge around the house with. So he bought a scarlet dressing robe, and then it just took a huge turn for the worse. So let's talk about what is this Diderot effect. So Diderot loved his scarlet dressing gown, but he quickly noticed it was out of place with all the other items in his home. So surrounded by common possessions, he felt the need to purchase new and ornate things to complement his new scarlet gown. He says this very beautifully in his essay, where he calls it the regrets of my old dressing gown. Regrets of my old dressing gown. And he says, all is now discordant. No more coordination, no more unity, no more beauty. So he goes on to give several examples of what he actually purchased. So I'm going to read you a quote from this essay of his. So here he goes, the quote, "The straw chair was relegated to the antechamber by a leather chair. A large mirror took over the mantle of my fireplace. Those two lovely modes that I owed to Falconet's friendship, and which he repaired himself, were moved away by a crouching Venus, modern clay broken by antique bronze. The wooden table was still fighting in the field, sheltered by a mass of pamphlets and papers piled up any which way, in which it appeared would protect it from the injuries that threatened it. One day it met its destiny, and despite my laziness, the pamphlets and papers put themselves away in a precious bureau." So, my friends, that is the Diderot effect. Like many others, I have fallen victim to the Diderot effect as well, and I think you can relate to as well. The desk that I'm currently recording on, the desk that I write, is a supreme example of this Diderot effect. I've always wanted to buy a beautiful writing desk, and I did just that. But what happened next was that the new desk didn't fit in with the bookshelf or the chair. So I purchased a comfortable leather chair and a beautiful glass bookcase were added to my desk purchase. And for those of you who watch me on YouTube when I do my Thursday videos, you'll see the bookcase and the leather chair in the background. Those are part of the initial purchase of my desk. So if you're like me, you can recognize similar behaviors in yourself too, right? Here's another great example. For those of us who buy a beautiful large TV, if that's what you're interested in, well, many of us won't just stop there, right? You bought this beautiful large TV. Well, you can't just listen to the speakers that come with the TV. So then you have to go get some high-end speakers. Well, now you've purchased a TV and high-end speakers. Well, you can't just sit in a regular chair. You have to replace your old couch, which then gives another purchase. And then all of a sudden you're calling your contractor to put a wet bar in your basement and a pool table. This is an example of the Diderot effect. We've all been victim of it. And why not? It's so easy to fall into this, right, guys? Let's look at Amazon, for example. How does Amazon do this? Amazon does it brilliantly. Marketers and retailers know of this Diderot effect, and they do this brilliantly. Think back on the last time you purchased something on Amazon. What does Amazon do so brilliantly? They'll offer you two other items to purchase in addition to what you already purchased, right? They give you these, look what others have purchased when they've purchased a similar item. Or they'll offer you this thing on the bottom where it says what others have purchased or what others similarly have looked for, what others have purchased as well. Again, they're creating this, fear of missing out. They're creating this need for you to purchase additional things, right? And they do it so brilliantly. And I'm not saying Amazon is evil, not by any stretch of the imagination, but they're so good at it, right? If you ever order something from Amazon on your phone, you know how quick it is to do, right? It's just a swipe. It's just a swipe of the screen, and now you've got things coming to your house. And they do this purposefully. They're creating what's called less friction, right? The more steps that a consumer has to do to complete a purchase, the less likely they're going to buy. And Amazon has figured this out. They've created the least amount of friction to purchase an item from their website. They've created the least amount of friction. And then if you're not careful, well, then you're going to fall victim to Diderot Effect. So, but the thing that happens with us, though, as we progress through our years of medicine, we have a natural inclination to accumulate more, add more, upgrade more, rather than living comfortable in the comfortable life that we're already in. And there's a pressure to keep adding more in our lives to justify a lifestyle to others. I remember very, very clearly, I was a senior in my emergency medicine residency, one of my absolute favorite attendings. I remember one of the things he told me during my last few months there. He's like, Harry, the best thing I can tell you, man, is live like a resident. Live like a resident, at least in the beginning, right? He's like, you remember him telling me, he's like, Harry, you don't need a BMW out of residency. And he's very, very correct, right? But once we get that first paycheck as an attending, or you get that first paycheck out of nursing school, you're like, oh my goodness. And then there's this need. All of a sudden you create this need in your mind that you want more. And you want to live a lifestyle that is above your means perhaps, but doesn't really bring you any joy. And with social media being omnipresent in our lives, we are bombarded with selfies, videos of others having more and living the opulent lifestyle. Of course, it's a lie. It's a lie, friends. But these images are really effective in creating want over need. And I want you guys to just at least take a moment to recognize this. How do you control this? How do you control the Diderot effect? So one of the many things I talk about here on Medicine Revived is different dimensions. For those of you who've heard my episodes on the 6 dimensions of physician wellness, take a listen to them. They're actually my first 6 episodes of the podcast. So if you have an opportunity to go download my first 6 episodes, and you'll get to hear each dimension and the tips that I have for each one of them. But one of them is that of financial wellness, right? Relatively speaking, we're high earners, be it a physician or even a nurse, relatively speaking, compared to our colleagues and friends. So one of the first things that I can tell you to help control the Diderot effect is ask yourself, what are your financial goals? So to control the effects of overconsumption, ask yourselves, what are my financial goals for my family and me? And this is such a great starting point. Again, if you don't have a family just quite yet, or if that's not what you're interested in, that's fine. You can do this by yourself. But you have to actually write your goals down. It's a great starting point by asking that just very, very simple question. What are my financial goals? And I will tell you, many of us, especially out of residency, don't even know what those are. You're like, shoot, I just finished out of residency or nursing school. I've got a pile of debt. I have no idea what my financial goals are, and that's okay. I'm going to help you walk you through this. But you have to ask that question. You have to be at least mindful of it. Are you looking to live a luxurious life, an opulent lifestyle? That's fine, but write these goals down. Are you looking to retire early? Great, write it down. Okay, we've talked about this before, especially when we talk about goals. Your goals are far more likely to become a reality for you if you write them down. I think many people, I know many people don't do this. They think, oh, I'll just think about it and it should be fine. Absolutely not. You have to write it down. From the White Coat Investor, if you guys haven't heard of the White Coat Investor, I really encourage you guys to go take a look at his website. Dr. Jim Daly recommends you take the time to create what's called an investment policy statement, that is unique to you and your family. And I will put a link in the show notes that accompanies this podcast. It'll send you over to his website as he walks you through how to write your own investment policy statement. And it's a great exercise to complete with your significant other, but you can do this for yourself, just for yourself as well too. But in this policy statement, you create investment goals, spending goals, and spending limits, such as home ownership and personal items, right? Because just because you can purchase that 5-bedroom house, 6-bath house and if it's just you and your significant other, you have to ask yourself, is this really what I want? Just because you can doesn't mean you should, because this is what happens. This is the Diderot effect in action. You want to live a lifestyle, you want to portray a lifestyle that really doesn't really fit your financial goals. And then you're working to pay for a house that you never really even needed in the first place. So that's my first recommendation for you guys is, what are your financial goals? And you have to write them down. And really a good first step is the investment policy statement from Dr. Jim Daly from White Coat Investor. The second thing I would tell you guys is don't inflate your lifestyle when higher income arrives. What does this mean? Lifestyle creep. You may have heard me talk about this before, but something called lifestyle creep is ever present in medicine. While it's entirely acceptable, friends, to enjoy the fruits of your labor and reward yourself, it's important not to squander your gains on short-sighted purchases. The inflation of your lifestyle will create a vicious circle of overconsumption, which requires more work to sustain rather than living a comfortable lifestyle. Dr. Leaf, he's a now retired anesthesiologist, and he's the creator of a website called Physician on Fire, Physician on Fire, F-I-R-E. Again, I'll put a link to the show notes. Describes this perfectly in his blog piece, A Tale of Four Physicians, The Impact of Lifestyle. This is a must read, and I really feel this is a must read for every medical student, every resident before they enter the world of attending, for every nursing student before they enter the world of nursing. It's a phenomenal read. What FIRE means, F-I-R-E, it's an acronym for financial independence, retire early. And there's a movement of people who really embrace that lifestyle, this financial independence, retire early. One of the most popular people who've embraced this FIRE movement is Mr. Money Mustache. If you've ever heard of his website, Mr. Money Mustache, he has taken this FIRE movement to an extreme. And again, I want to be very, very clear. I don't want any of you guys to live like paupers. I want you guys to live a good life. You've arrived to a point in your life that you can live a very comfortable life, but I want you to be mindful of the lifestyle that you're creating for yourself, and you have to be very mindful. Is this what you want? Because the impact of your lifestyle is so important on your career. And the Tale of Four Physicians with Dr. Leaf writes about, he says it perfectly. In his piece, he describes four physicians who live decidedly different lifestyles in terms of their spending. And he started off with the premise that each was debt-free and had a household income of $300,000 each year. And unique to each physician was their annual expenses. So Dr. 1 had yearly expenses of $80,000, while Dr. number 4 had yearly expenses of $200,000. And it turns out, according to this exercise, again, he's an anesthesiologist, so he's a numbers person for sure, but he found out that Dr. number 1, who was making $300,000 a year and only spent $80,000 of it, would be considered financially dependent in 10 years. That doesn't mean number 1 is going to retire in 10 years. Dr. number 1 can, but the exercise just tells you that you can be financially dependent in 10 years, and that gives you so many more options. On the other hand, though, Dr. number 4 will be financially independent in 60 years, 60 years. That doctor, because of the lifestyle he's chosen, is going to be working well into his 70s. And if that's what you want to do, that's great. I don't know many who really want to do this, especially with the state of medicine. They don't want to be working in their 70s and 80s. There are a few for sure, but many are looking for more options in their lifestyle and not having to work to support a lifestyle that they never even wanted. So you are likely somewhere in the middle, but this exercise highlights the importance of spending of your spending related to your financial goals. What do you value more, your money or your life? Again, this is a decision that you'll have to make yourself and with your spouse, but it's such an incredible exercise to do, and I really encourage you guys to take a look at A Tale of Four Physicians, The Impact of Lifestyle from Physician on Fire. And again, it'll be a link in the blog that follows the podcast as well too. Number 3, focus on relationships rather than items. And I talk about this very, very, very much. Your overall wellness and your success, quite honestly, doesn't occur in a vacuum. It takes hard work, persistence, and the drive to achieve. A motivational gym speaker who I talk about very, very regularly says that you are the average of 5 people you spend the most time with. In the world of medicine, this is especially true, right? As you surround yourself with successful and motivated people, you will quickly realize that things are secondary. Relationships are far more important. If you want to accelerate your success while slowing down in medicine, find people who have achieved the success that you're looking for. They'll be farther along in their journey, and that's exactly right. That's exactly what you want. Seek these individuals out, right? You want to learn from people who are farther along their journey. farther along the journey than you are. They have a map of success. So there's no need to discover new waters if you already have a good map that will help you lead you to where you need to be. So model their behavior, learn from their wins and their losses, and you'll undoubtedly find that people's wins are rarely from money or lifestyle, but in the relationships and the friendships that have been forged. And I will end with one more thing, friends, and that is to begin and end your day with gratitude. So expressing gratitude stirs positive emotions and creates expectation that something good will happen despite adversity going on around us. And many of us have heard the euphemism of count your blessings. Well, this practice of being grateful for the people and things around you helps change your mindset to focus on the positive rather than the negative that may be occurring around you. Expressing gratitude makes us, as physicians and nurses, feel good. But it goes far deeper. As a grateful physician or nurse, your interpersonal relationships benefit as well. It enforces a spirit of teamwork, altruism, and recognition of others' contribution. Be grateful. Be grateful, friends, for simple things. Be grateful for your family, for your friends, and for your career and your health. And do this privately and in your daily journal, which I talk about every single week, right, guys? Do this privately and in your daily journal. Be grateful for things such as the smell of a crisp fall morning, or the feeling you have when you have that first sip of warm coffee, just like you like it. Give thanks, friends. Give thanks. Gratitude may seem like such a simple emotion, but it harnesses great power. You'll be on the road toward better health, stronger relationships, and a view of the world that is filled with opportunities rather than obstacles. So the person who's probably most well known for writing about and researching gratitude is Dr. Robert Emmons. He's a psychologist and a professor from the University of California, Davis, where he mentions this perfectly. Quote, "It is gratitude that enables us to receive, and it is gratitude that motivates us to return the goodness that we have been given. In short, it is gratitude that enables us to be fully human," end quote. And that's such a perfect statement on really encompasses what gratitude really is. So friends, I want to encourage you that you can live a great life, not a good life, friends, a great life. And I want you to live a great life filled with joy, happiness, and oversized success. Relatively speaking, as I said, as high-income earners, we have some distinct advantages compared to some of our friends or colleagues. But this also comes with some unique disadvantages, such as starting financial planning later in life, as well as many of us being saddled with a substantial student loan debt. So keep your spending and lifestyle forefront on your mind. Focus on what is really important rather than what you think that you need. And I'm going to end our podcast this week with a passage from Regrets of My Old Dressing Gown by the philosopher Diderot. And I think it really is a good way to end it for this week. Quote, "With time, all debts will be paid. Remorse will be calmed, and I will have pure joy. Don't fear that the mad desire to stock up beautiful things has taken control of me. The friends I had, I still have, and their numbers hasn't grown. I have Lay, but Lay doesn't have me. Happy in her arms, I am ready to cede her to see who I'll love and who she'll make happier than me. And I want to tell you a secret that Lay, who it cost others so much to buy, cost me nothing." What a good way to end the show, friends. Remember, relationships are so important, far, far more important than things. So I want you to remember that the good things in life, and what you are really working for. So I wish you a wonderful week. And again, if you've not had an opportunity to subscribe to the podcast, please hit that subscribe button. And very importantly, hit that share button so others can find this podcast and learn, grow, and thrive in medicine alongside all of us as well. And I'm going to end it with that. Remember, I also do a Thursday episode called Ask Me Thursdays, where I will answer one of your questions that are submitted to me, either through my blog page or when I'm working clinically, or from the comment section. So if you ever want to ask me a question, I'm happy to answer it. There'll be a link in the show notes where you can just submit your questions, and I'll answer it on a future episode. So with that, my friends, I wish you a wonderful, wonderful week, and I will talk to you again very, very soon. Remember, hit that subscribe button, and I want you to have a wonderful week. Till next time, be good to yourself and each other. We'll talk again soon.